too much. For prosecution in terms of opening, something that might help, I thought of you, I noticed you stumbled a little bit on the elements. Or did I say prosecution? I meant defense. I'm sorry. Think about maybe a demonstrative, that way you don't have to
I
have
had
memorized.
an entire thing written out, and then I got up, and then it went.
And it happens. Grab notes. Real attorneys use notes. In Mount Charlie, you don't use notes, and it's kind of silly. I mean, if you have one of those moments, don't be afraid to pick it up, and that might help. Yeah.
I just stopped talking, which probably wasn't my best course of action that I could have taken, but I tried.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, but I think in terms of the theme, the closing told me what your theme was. I didn't really get that at the beginning because of the stumble, and it happens, and it's okay. It's just, it was helpful when I heard the theme right away in the closing. That's just something to think about. Demonstratives or notes, they're always helpful. That way you don't have to have it memorized. Witnesses, just general, ladies on the prosecution, I'm sorry, but each one of you spoke so fast. Slow down, it was very fast. So just be conscious that I understand you have time limits, perhaps figure out what's a priority and what's not. That might help you realize you do have time. Witnesses on the defense, overall, the defendant was really funny.
I tried so hard not to just start cracking up. After you guys started laughing, everyone else was laughing. I was sitting there like, but
Yeah, I mean, I just thought overall the witnesses did really well. You guys tried to run, I mean, this goes for both teams. You guys tried to run with questions on cross when you could.
Yeah, it's fun when you make it difficult for the attorney. I like that as a witness.
Yeah.
Lawyers like being difficult generally.
And you guys, all the witnesses did that when you guys could. I don't remember Pat Sikorsky, the technical, was really helpful. The description about DNA, fingerprints, touching the chair, all that. It was the way that you described it. You could kind of see what you were talking about. I thought it was a really helpful description of things. I don't want to take over. I'm going to jump in anywhere.
I just had a quick comment about exhibits. It was really confusing because they weren't labeled as 1, 2, 3. I don't know what the rules are now for writing on them, or at least put a sticky note just to label what each exhibit number is, because I think on one of the prosecutions on the bottom it said exhibit 19, but it was really exhibit 3.
It was.
Yeah,
It did say that. I noticed it printed out that way. I was like, okay.
So just trying to keep track of it too, and I know that in practice, prosecution uses 1, 2, 3, and defense uses letters. Is that, at least at
I don't-
the firm I work at.
You're,
It's like,
you're right.
yeah,
Way to
it's
do it.
just
one
some
way to
kind
do
of, some kind of mechanism to keep them separated so I know which is which again. And going along with that, I think both teams did really, really well. And because it's kind of hard to follow the exhibits, it was a little confusing what was happening. At the same time, I'm trying to look at an exhibit or a lack of exhibit when I didn't have something in front of me. So when if I make a bad call, again, you're not getting judged on the merits, so make sure to keep your composure when a judge makes a call, because that's really important. That's what everyone's looking at. They're looking at you while I'm making a call, whether it's wrong or right. Make sure you don't react to it. Try to keep your composure. But other than the exhibits and that, I think both teams did really well. And make sure if you're cross-examining a witness to finish your statement with correct or isn't this true? You need to ask a question. I noticed, I think you specifically, everyone did this as well, but you'd make statements, but then you wouldn't finish it with a question. So they didn't have a question to answer, but they did it anyways. They answered it, but just make sure that you're asking a question when you're on cross. But otherwise, great job today.
I would say the best exams were the ones that framed issues for us, because remember the jury hears what you guys are talking about, the jury hears the witnesses, but the jury can't put things together. And you have some leeway to be pseudo-argumentative when you're introducing topics to sort of set the framework. It gives you have a few quick seconds. You'll just talk about, this is what we're gonna talk about now.
Headlines.
You know, maybe that type of thing. But when it comes to exhibits, when it comes to topics, it really helps focus sort of the fact finder on what's going on. It makes things flow, and it turns it into sort of an outline instead of a mess of papers and facts that are just all over the place. So think about it that way. Really try to focus in on, like she said, headlines, and treating it like an outline with, this is what we're talking about, this is the thesis right now, this is the next point, this is the next point.
And I think, Chris, you did that really well in your direct, and Austin, you did that really well in your direct too. Thank you. Both of you guys did. Now we're going to talk about this. I'd like to talk to you about this. And I kind of made a note of that. That was helpful. We're going to talk about this.
Because we have no idea what this was about. Like, we didn't read anything before we did this, so having that introduction to things was helpful to follow along. So just keep that in mind. You kind of get caught into it because you've been practicing it for so long, but just remember that the people that you're presenting it to have no idea what's going on, so you have to walk them through it.
And I'm still not sure which meeting was what, on what date.
Yeah, the 13th and 14th.
I know that there was 13, but when you talk about meeting, always try and put a date before it. And these are just like really minutia details, but when we don't know anything about the case, it helps us keep track of the timeline. That's just what I'm saying.
Do you have any questions?
I was just wondering, would I be guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Thank you.
You don't get judged on
You don't get
merits.
judged on merits. I mean, no.
It's set up that way, though, I feel.
Not really.
The facts, you guys don't.
Your story's really bad.
It's
Not
your
your
fault.
fault.
No,
I
the
mean,
prosecution doesn't have a
the
lot.
prosecution's facts, what I mean, like when you add up, not you guys in general. That was said wrong.
Can we come up with a comments?
I played Alan Thomas. My name's Tyler.
How's that?
It's my first time being Thomas.
It was wonderful. I really liked your
I was just
character.
wondering what you.
I was thinking I did
Where do you live?
character witness for defense when I did it. And
Oh my goodness, so much fun.
I think you were really act, so it's something I really wanted to get into the character. So keep up that just chill. Well, you definitely came off that way. Like I thought, I wasn't scoring today, but just do it that way. It's not your judge of the merits. Cross says something. Bad for just don't fight it. When you fight, you didn't fight it in general. You handled it well. So wonderful job.
Yeah.
Really don't know.
It's, I think it's
Is that, did you guys make that up, like a storyline? I thought so, because I just was like, everyone was laughing, so I'm like, okay, it must be, that's really great. Who came up with it? That's really great.
Hi, I'm Zach. My real name's Zach. But yeah. So how'd you like my story?
I thought it was really great. It was creative. I thought you did wonderful on directing across. And I know it's a risk to put the defendant on the stand, but I think you guys handled it really well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
third time being an attorney.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm really impressed and I'm happy to do it.
You look like you ain't want to be here.
What?
You look like you ain't want to be here.
Oh, really? I drove 2 hours to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm studying for finals right now, and I'm like, I want to go back to school. back as an undergrad. I'm a third-year law student.
So it's your 7th year in school?
I'm sorry?
It's your 7th year in
You're
school?
like, there's no way to get around this. They're like, they're good.
They're an extra year, undergrad. I'm 25.
I kind of tried. I was literally.
How old are you?
I'm like 15.
Really?
Said he didn't remember.
So you just started first year in college? Well, that's awesome you got involved in this your first year.
You dropped it. You were like,
What do you think about it?
I mean, it's alright. I don't be trying to spend too much time on it. I got a lot of other stuff.
Are you planning, do you see yourself going to law school or is it something you're interested in?
Probably not, man. I mean, if I got a full scholarship, man, I'd go anywhere. But I wouldn't pay it. I mean, the way I see it, I can learn a new skill in anything. If I start anything, I can do it.
Yeah, definitely. And at the very least, you're getting great public skills experience, you know, just talking, and you're gonna need that anywhere, so. Awesome, good for you. Be so young to get started in this, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep up the good work, thanks.
I'm sorry, I have written, I sat it down even.
Like, it was actually, I was the guy across, and I got up there, and I was like, sure. I thought what I really admired about that, though, is that you had like, because
there was a lot of brand. I just have to take a second, spend your time making sure everything. I don't know how to do it. I'm probably gonna go back to being one. That's what I'm good at.
Honestly, I think that nobody's great at it at the beginning.
I like cross and outline the front, and then I get news headlines are really
Wonderful. And if anything, like, it's like, you know, really good at your job, you don't feel like, I get ready to do that.
I have to say short weights on my sticky notes that I have.
That's my heartbeat.
I'm like, I just have half a week to talk about.